And you're now live.
Great. Well, let's call this meeting to order. It's about 9:14. And we'll proceed on with the meeting to approve the agenda. Anybody have a look at that? And if so, can we get a resolution to pass this agenda?
Did you want to amend it to add possibility of adding new board members?
Sure.
I'll put that in at
9.
8.9. Yep. 9.4.
Good. Good.
Just need a mover and a seconder. Sorry, Jeremy.
I'll second.
Sure. So Anthony, you'll put forth the motion to amend the agenda
Sure. Yes.
and a seconder. Thanks, Brian. You can call the all in favor if you want, Jeremy, and I'll let you chair again.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. So all in favor? Yeah. Okay, thanks. Passed. Yeah. Great. So next item is pecuniary or disqualifying interests, and if there are none, just like to move we had go ahead here. Now, the fourth item is approval of the minutes. There are two sets of minutes. I think we only have to do the last one, Gayla.
No, we missed it in the last meeting, Jeremy. So we actually do need to make a motion to pass May 19th and June 16th, if that's all right.
Okay. Now, just for the purpose of recollection, the meeting prior to the last was the one in which Stuart attended and talked about the various things, and then also there was the general manager of Terry Vashon, who attended and gave us some more insight. So if you get a motion on this one, could we get past these minutes as is? Anybody like to make a motion to accept the minutes? Yeah. You don't have to agree with them, Per. You just have to say that that's what was done.
Okay, I'll make that motion.
Thanks. A seconder?
I'll second.
Thanks, Anthony. Good. All right. So that being passed, the first item is business from those minutes, and it's the management and construction agreement, M&C, Terry Vashon. Yeah, so this week he said he couldn't attend in an email because he was surprised and that he was being asked to attend, which I feel, and I think others do, find it very disappointing that that's the kind of thing. As we know, there's a particular item in there that's a bit noxious, and in the management agreement, it deals with what happens in the event of a conflict. And I'm not particularly happy with the way the draft, the draft agreement has been set out so far. I think it's worthy of a quick discussion, quite frankly. Any other comments to that?
Well, as you all know, I sent off a note with respect to the way this has been handled. I personally think it's an affront to the board who has been chosen to manage this facility on behalf of Clearview, only to be completely ignored with respect to the agreement being put in place between council and the village green. That even at late stage, to be advised by Mr. Vachon that the agreement is still under consideration. We're not being consulted on what the changes are, whether anything we said in the meeting to Mr. Vachon, which was of concern to the board, not been addressed, will not be addressed, and the board to be shown a finalized copy once everything is done. I think that's a slight on our position board.
Brian, do you have a comment?
Yeah, I would agree with what Per has said. I read Kayla's email announcing the meeting. She gave the date of the meeting, the 21st, in the email. I think it was pretty clear how Terry Vachon confused that with the meeting being that morning and caught him unawares. Well, he may have misread it. However, that was not the morning of the meeting. It is this morning. So he has had time to attend this meeting. So I kind of wonder why he's not here. And also in terms of what Per has said, the agreement, the original agreement, I thought was signed. I thought it had been approved by council. Apparently it's being negotiated, renegotiated, and it is yet to go to council. And my understanding, the last meeting we had with Mr. Vachon, we were going to be involved in that process. So far, that has not happened. And that's, I think, very concerning.
Good. Okay. Thank you for that, Brian. That's exactly what my concerns would be. You've said them very well. And Anthony, anything?
Yeah, I had a question for Terry, actually. I'm wondering if the Village Green has events which conflict with ours. Are they able to close the park to the public? And would that include our parking lot and our washrooms? Like, I don't know what having an event in the park actually means. Are they allowed to get a permit where they can close the whole thing to the public? And that's why we would have a conflict. Otherwise, there's really no conflict in having two events happen at the same time.
Well, the conflict would certainly be if you have 150 people attending a Village Green function. Yeah. We have a wedding at the same time. We have very limited washroom capacity, and to have the two mix on the same date would almost be untenable, I would think.
Well, we've had bigger events in town where the washrooms are used. I'm just concerned that if the Village Green has an event, does that mean it's closed? The park is closed?
We don't know that, Anthony, for certainty. I shouldn't imagine that they could ever do that because it's public land, but I guess potentially, who knows? But what I think needs to be done is that we need to meet with Terry and the mayor, perhaps. But the point is, the arbitration, the result ends in the hands of the park to make any final decisions. I think that's completely erroneous. It's got to be an independent or middle ground body, which would be Terry, because he looks after both, and or the mayor, and so that's the one suggestion I believe that would need to be put forward. Not that it would reside in the hands of the park. So having said that, I think there's that as well as perhaps other topics, but we're only talking of exceptions here, in a good world of people working together, probably there's not going to be any conflicts, but there could be, and I think we need to be able to deal with it accordingly, so, and not in a biased way.
I think too, Jeremy, if that agreement had different wording, let's say rather than the Village Green Management Board having the final decision arbitrating between events and having the final decision, if it said that the Station on the Green Management Board would have the final decision, I wonder how that would sit with the Community Foundation. I would think they would not be very happy with that either. I think what you're saying, Jeremy, is a better way, that there needs to be a neutral body that makes that decision, if that decision ever had to be made. And probably the odds of it being made are pretty low, because most of the time there wouldn't be a conflict. But there may be at some point, and when that happens, there should be some mechanism whereby it can be settled easily and quickly without any problem.
Agreed. I think that's great. Good point. And as rare as it may be, I'd like to, to Anthony, go ahead.
I'm sorry, the one place I do see possible conflict is if Village Green does have an event and requires our kitchen for catering or anything like that, or the Village Green, or sorry, the Station on the Green need a room for equipment or something like that, they would have the power to override our rental agreement. That
I don't think by contract they have any right to anything within the footprint of the station.
But with them having the final say on which event would run, that would affect it, right? You know what? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yes, I do.
You know, if they can say you can't rent out the Station on the Green because we're having an event, and then we need your tables and chairs and your kitchen, they get the power to just have back. That's kind of a place where you can have a conflict.
When did we ever discuss that the Village Green would have the option to, at will, operate within the building itself? I don't think
in that contract they can cancel our event if there's conflicting events.
Right, but you mentioned that they required the use of our kitchen. Well, if they could rent it like anybody else.
Yeah, but what are they going to take away one of our rentals where we rent the whole station so that they can do an event?
At that point, Anthony, we have, I would believe, the right to overrule them if it's in regard to the station itself. They have no jurisdiction over the building and what goes on inside it.
Not according to the original agreement, where they have a final say on canceling an event. They could cancel our event.
Yeah, I think Anthony's right, because if they're holding an event in the park area and they need our kitchen, wanting to rent the kitchen, and we were to say, oh, well, we already have an event that's scheduled for that date, they could say, no, we need it, and goes to mediation. They may make the decision that, no, you'll have to bounce your event out because we require it. Similarly, it could go the other way. We could have an event in the station and they might want to rent the park as well, in which case we will rent the station and we need the park as well, in which case I guess they would apply through the foundation to use the park, and the foundation might say no to them, and then we would lose that rental with the station. I don't, there will be conflicts.
Yeah.
Aren't contracts legal and binding? Could we not be sued if a client signs a contract and we then have to turn around and say, I'm sorry, you can't use it? Could
Yeah,
they
those are
not
certainly
do it?
consequences. Yeah, that's quite right. I think, we've only been talking about this for minutes, and yet if you think of different scenarios, I'm sure there are some that could create a conflict that needs to be dealt with independently. And so I think now Deputy Mayor wants to address us in this, and he's muted. So unfortunately, can't comment.
Well, we obviously have a lot of questions for Barry, so I think until we get him out here. can't really-
You know, while Barry's getting himself sorted out there, my suggestion is that we have a special meeting with Terry, the board, Terry, and the mayor, and say that we want to discuss the agreement before.
Okay.
Okay, I have Barry on the phone. Sorry to interrupt you. All right, Barry.
Good morning, everybody, and I'm sorry. I've been listening to the conversation. I've heard everything you've said. I kept trying to unmute myself, and for some reason it wouldn't happen. So, anyways, just so you know, it's my birthday, and I'm up north. So,
Happy birthday.
and anyways, yeah, there's a lot of issues going on with this, and it's a complicated mess right now. And until they get this agreement sorted out, I mean, I have no idea what the agreement. Have we received a copy of the agreement?
Yes.
Does anybody?
Yes, we have, Barry.
But,
Sure. Yes.
But then I got information from Terry saying that they're making changes to it. So have we seen what those changes are?
No, we've not, and we thought we would be.
And we're being told, Your Honor, that we'll see the changes once they're finalized, that we will not be consulted for any of those changes.
Okay, that's what's crazy. So I'm gonna have to talk to Terry and the mayor about this, because it's kind of crazy what's going on. And I apologize for the meetings I've missed. It's just always been a conflict with the meetings I've had. So not that you guys aren't important. It's just I can only spread myself so thin. But at the end of the day, and I mentioned this to Stuart, that they need to plan to build their own washrooms, the exterior accessible washrooms on the end of the station on the green that are public washrooms, so that if we have an event, there aren't people coming in. People are having a wedding. You don't want street people coming in and using the washroom while you've rented the whole building. And I've talked to him about that, and he indicated that was probably a good idea, but I don't know how much further they've gone with it. And I will make a call to Stuart, because we need to get this sorted out, because I don't agree with them having total control over who gets to say who gets to use what first. I mean, Station on the Green is its own identity, and unless they're taking over everything, if they're taking over Station on the Green and we don't need to exist anymore, then fine. But if we're still running Station on the Green, and a valid thing came up, what if somebody rents it for a wedding, then all of a sudden the stewards group goes, oh no, well, we've got something planned for that for that weekend, so you have to cancel it, and then we can't do that. So I'm open to comments, people, but obviously I'm going to have to step in and get a little more involved than I have been.
Okay, Per.
Barry, you mentioned something which I don't think I've discussed with you. In the event that the Village Green takes over the operation of the station, that's an interesting subject, and I think one that we should maybe discuss further, whether at this meeting or the future meeting that Jeremy is proposing between the mayor and Mr. Vachon.
Right. right? So I'm going to request a meeting that I will be attending, and maybe Brian could join me, rather than a group meeting. Maybe Brian and I could attend that meeting, and or the chair. But Brian seems to be in touch of a lot of this stuff. So I thought if Brian and I, or one other member of,
Barry, I think it's a matter of the board, quite frankly. I'd like it to be dealt with at the board level.
Yes, but I wanted to have a meeting first. I thought if I could have, like, I plan to have a meeting with Terry and Stuart, and just I want to find out exactly where and then report back to the board, so the board can make some decisions, and we'll have some clear reporting. And that's something I'm prepared to set up for next week. I give Terry a little bit of weight. When the deputy mayor requests the meeting with staff, I generally get one, right? So
you're proposing, Barry, that you and Brian meet with Stuart and the mayor? Is that what you're saying?
Terry.
I was saying with Stuart and Terry.
Terry.
And I just want to know, and just more of a fact gathering meeting to get some information, and then we can report back to the committee, or at least then, let them know what our concerns are, so they can show up to the next meeting because I'm a little disappointed too. I've been paying attention to what you guys are doing, and I'm reading all the emails, and I'm following everything along, and so at the end of the day, I'm going to plan a meeting between me and Terry and Stuart. Yeah, and I just thought it might be appropriate for one member of the committee to join me in that meeting. That's if you feel you don't want to, that's fine with me. But that's what I'm prepared to do. So then we can have then we'll have a fact-finding information, and then I think we can report back to the board, and then we can take a position. Right now, it's hard for us to take a position because we don't know what the agreement is, or what they're even talking about the agreement, and what's being changed in the agreement. So, anyways, those are my comments.
Per?
So Barry, Brian, during that meeting with Stuart Lassier, would you be willing to discuss the potential of them taking over the whole operation and see if they're willing to entertain that idea so that we could discuss it at a later point?
Well, I'd certainly be willing to bring it up to them, because I think inevitably as we get into the discussion, that's going to be one of the issues that are going to come up. And if they do that, because then what happens? Then council has to make that decision, right? But whatever this agreement is that Terry prepares or gets into, this agreement still has to be passed by council. If they were to take it over and dissolve this committee, that has to be approved by council. It's not just a swipe of the thing and it's done. This all has to go through council approval, and I need to talk to my fellow councillors to see what their position is. Anyways, it's not a clean, simple sweep like that, but I sometimes wish it was. But it's been crazy times, people. There's so much, believe it or not, through COVID, there was so much going on related to land use and NEC meetings, and it's just been rather crazy lately. But anyways, happy to. So to answer your question, happy to talk about. If the committee would like to make a list of items they would like me to bring up during the discussion, I'm happy to receive that.
Eric, you have something to say?
We all know.
I'm sorry?
We all know that the operation of both facilities is intended to be for the good of the people of Creemore. It doesn't make sense to have duplication of efforts for everything. And I think it makes sense to have one operator so that we have no infighting, no conflict, and that all events can move forward with a glad tiding kind of a feel instead of internal strife, which is not good for anybody.
No, I hear you, Per. I hear what you're saying.
All right, so Barry, when would you prepare to have that meeting?
I'll send an email off today and see when they're available. You got to remember, I have to check my schedule too. I'm back in town tomorrow for 5 hours. Between all this, I'm trying to find a little bit of holiday time, right? It is summer, but it's like I came up here yesterday afternoon, and I'm going back tomorrow morning just to attend a meeting I have to attend, and then I'm coming back up tomorrow night till Sunday. So it's. But I'm prepared to send an email off today. I'll send an email off today requesting time, and then I'll check my schedule next week to see, because I have to check my schedule. It does get pretty hectic at times, folks. So.
Okay, so so can you keep us informed on that, Barry, to see what the progress is, and let us know what the status is, like, in other words, when this meeting with Barry. There's a lot of things we need to cover off, and quite frankly, I think one is an attitudinal piece of discussion, which will talk about, Terry, to remind him that this is we are an integral part of the process, and
Absolutely.
if he needs to include us in part of that process, that's about as simple as it gets, So,
Yeah.
Debbie, do you have something to say, Debbie?
Yeah. Months ago, I saw that there could be a lot of conflict between the two, like funerals or celebrations of life when there's a rock band playing in the park, or use of our bathrooms, use of our parking through a wedding. And I did consider it, and I wrote to Stuart and told him I would like to apply for the position of booking agent for both the station and Village on the Green. That way we could avoid any conflicts.
Makes perfect sense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I don't know what they're looking.
What was Stuart's response? What was Stuart's response?
He told me to watch the Echo, that they would be posting the position at the end of April, and it hasn't come up yet.
Yeah, well, as you can see, the Village Green is nowhere near ready to be open.
No, I know.
My question, why would we need a posting if Debbie, who's already qualified to do just what she's proposing to do? Yeah.
But you have to remember, Aaron, it makes total sense to me. But the bottom line is, the Village Green is its own identity, and it's not. What's happened is, council has given the village, Village Green control, of that, so they're a separate identity now.
If they are a separate identity, then why is there a conflict in, them being able to close down the station or cancel events? We're separate entities.
Exactly. You're 100% right. They are a separate identity, and why would they have the right to do that?
And what would bond them?
So I hear exactly what you're saying, and it's like these guys want to suck and blow at the same time, and it doesn't work that way.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So, wording attitudinal.
Sorry, Per, what's that?
I'm just saying.
You don't want to be the one.
Attitudinal.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, I think it's a cultural, attitudinal, all those words that would suit that we need to try and bring down the rhetoric and get into
Yes.
and the only way Barry, yeah, so go ahead and have that meeting, but please keep us informed and
Absolutely.
because failing that, quite frankly, I think, you know, um, we've kind of thrown a lot of stuff into the mix now, like, merging organizations and all that. I think everybody will say, yeah, that's a good idea, but let's do it in time. So until that time arises, let's, we need to be speaking to our supervisor, I guess, for lack of a better word. The person to whom we report is Terry Vachon. And we would like to get a relationship with Terry that recognizes I'd like to hear what his feeling of what he feels the role is. So I think that's, regardless of what you come up with of that, I think we still need to have the meeting with Terry and the mayor that would discuss how we operate, what their expectations and so on are, because
Right.
you can see it in his writing, you can see it in his attendance. It's a second thought. It doesn't, oops, I forgot, and I think it'd be a better.
Yeah.
Okay, Brian.
Yeah. No, I hear you. I hear what everybody's saying. I got it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, I would agree, Jeremy, that I think we need to handle this in an organized way, and perhaps starting with a meeting with our supervisor, Terry Vachon, and the mayor, with the deputy mayor as well, as a committee. And prior to that meeting, we perhaps summarize our points of concern and our suggestions. And then coming out of that meeting will give us a direction of where we go for the next step. Our biggest concern is it seems that we're not involved in this process, have not been involved in this process, not directly. We have been involved indirectly through the public meetings, but there's never been a direct meeting where we've been involved in how this was going to take shape. And I think it's time that we find out whether there's going to be any involvement on behalf of our management board, and as it should be, and what that's going to look like. And then that will inform us as to what our next step would be. I think we should do that prior to meeting with Stuart Lazier and Terry Vachon.
Barry, are you okay with that? Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here. So I wonder if Brian could just clarify. So Brian, what you're suggesting is that you should make a list of your concerns that I would take to my initial meeting. Is that what you're talking about? Is that what you're suggesting?
I'm suggesting just what Jeremy is saying, that as a committee, we meet with Terry Vachon and the mayor.
Yes. So I totally agree. I mean, there has to be a meeting with the committee and Terry Vachon and the mayor and Lazier, and but I want to do this preliminary meeting and see what I can get sorted out in the preliminary stuff. So like I said, if somebody from the committee wants to join me in that meeting, I'm happy to do that. If they don't, that's fine. I will go ahead with the meeting though. So.
All right, so with that, then thank you, Barry. What I would like to move is then that we as a committee meet with the mayor and the role of Terry Vachon, Parks and Rec, and meet to discuss a number of matters which relate to the relationship between station on the board and the station on the board and the Village in the Green, and the station on the board as it relates to the function of a board of Clearview and being managed by Terry Vashon.
Yeah, and as I said before, in order for they to take over control or say this, whatever the agreement is, has to be approved by council, which to my knowledge has not been done yet, because obviously they're changing it all the time. And so that's the reality. It's if it's changing all, but so that agreement has not come before council yet, because if it had, then to give them overruling right over top of over the board, then they're sort of defeating the whole purpose of having our committee, right? So it's a mess. I knew it was going to be a mess. I knew, this whole Village Green thing is, it was. But anyways, we won't go down that road. It is what it is. Let's see, give me some time to get it sorted out. I'll send emails off today requesting meetings, and hopefully we can get something set up for next week.
Okay, Barry, thank you. Per.
Further to what Debbie suggested earlier, and saying that she's waiting for the ad to come out for the posting for the job, could we not, as the board, promote Debbie for the position?
Yes, indeed.
And do away with posting for somebody else? If Debbie is offering to do it and knows how to do it well, let's get Debbie in that position.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yeah.
I'm willing to do it, but I was told by Sarah that she thinks they're looking for someone to full-time to actually go after the entertainment, to actually plan all that. And I need a better description of the job, because I don't know if I want to put that kind of time into it, but as far as the booking goes, I'd be more than willing. I'd have to see a description.
Yeah, that's right. You need, the job scope and what.
Exactly. I could do it all, but I do have the experience, but I just would like to see it to know how much time.
Yeah, you want to know what the job description is, for sure.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
The booking part of it, I absolutely can do.
Okay, great. So there's a motion on the floor. Anthony, you have
I just have a quick question for Barry. When the town takes over the park, it's a public park. The BIA will have availability to the stage in the park, and so will the public. So I don't understand what these events that they're going to have. I asked earlier, can they actually close the park to the public? I'd like to know if that's going to happen.
I don't know how you would ever close the park. It's like that's and when I think when they talk about having events, I think they're talking about having a public event of some sort. So I don't know. These are questions we need to ask when I meet with them.
Yeah, good. Okay, so it's just another question in the list, I think. So let's add that one. And Anthony, thank you. So we have a motion. Do we have a?
Can you review the motion?
So it's my understanding you guys are looking to put forth a motion to get a meeting between Terry Vashon, the mayor, and Stuart Lazier and the Village Green Foundation?
No, the mayor with Terry and the mayor.
Terry and the mayor, okay. To discuss the relationship and pending agreement?
The relationship between the two, Station of the Green and the Green Park, and then that's one item, and the other is relationship, the ongoing relationship with the board and.
Hello.
Okay, so hereby schedule a meeting with Terry Vachon, Mayor, and the Mayor to discuss the relationship between the station on the green and Village Green, as well as the township.
Relationships with roles and responsibilities. That's the agreement we're all concerned about primarily. Okay, so it's if we could just talk about it as the agreement.
To discuss the proposed agreement amendments.
MC agreement, and hopefully we'll, by virtue of talking about that, we will be uncovering all of the items of, where we would like to provide input and where we expect to get some kind of response back, like attending meetings and things like that. Okay.
Okay, hereby request to schedule a meeting with Terry Vachon and the Mayor to discuss the proposed agreement amendments between the station on the green and Village Green.
Well, it's yeah. I guess
I don't want to limit what you're going to discuss, right? Because like Deputy Mayor Burton said, eventually it will probably grow into, are you going to end up taking over the entire thing? And so we want a condensed resolution, not to.
Yeah, not to break it too large.
If we could just say to discuss the future and moving forward.
Well, one thing is the MC agreement and the role of the board in it. How is that?
I think just to discuss the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And the amendments that may be happening or may not be.
And hope we don't get an answer back that, well, you can't hear it until after the council has approved it. So, like, I guess that's the issue, Kayla, that we need to get this.
Okay.
I lost signal there for a second.
No worries, Barry. We're just finalizing a proposed resolution. So
okay.
What I have surmised here is, be it resolved, the Creemore Station on the Green Board hereby requests to schedule a meeting with Terry Vachon and the Mayor to further discuss the agreement and proposed amendments.
Right. Perfect. So I just want to add, I've got about 15 minutes left because I have a delivery coming and I have to be here, and I got to deliver some gravel and stuff coming. So I'm just letting you know that in about 15 minutes I'm going to have to bail from the meeting. So.
Okay, so I need a second mover and a seconder on that motion.
I'll second it.
So I have Pear and Deputy Mayor Burton. Correct?
Yep.
And then
yes.
Jeremy, if you want to do your all in favor.
All in favor?
Yes.
Perfect.
Yes. Thank you very much. I think that's a good step forward, and I think it'll, the hope is that it will bring us all back together again. I think it will be a very, Anthony.
Sorry, we better move along though, because if Barry leaves, we'll lose quorum. We have to reopen the station.
So the next point then is appointment of board member to the Village Green Management Board.
Oh, yeah. So this is where Linda was hoping that somebody could go to the foundation and sit on those meetings between the foundation, the township, and the board moving forward, as Terry had suggested back in May, I believe.
I've reread their description of the board, and I don't think that that's what they're expecting, quite frankly. They're talking about citizens of the community that are, prepared to work in that management committee environment. If you'll see it in the minutes, but nonetheless, we can let's select or elect someone to represent us in this matter. It may or may not.
So if I can interrupt for a second. So what we're asking for is for one of our board members to sit on that management board. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes. So, okay, that's a subject we bring up. I mean, yeah, absolutely. There should be somebody from our board sitting on that management, the station on the green management board. Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
So,
Thanks.
and I think that needs to be part of the agreement. That's got to be part of the agreement.
That's exactly right, because it's right at the moment it's not, and it doesn't seem by definition to want to do that. So that will be another point on the list, quite frankly.
Yeah. So good. So mark that. Hey, keep writing this list down for me. It's like, okay, so that's the next item we have. So in response to that, we should.
Okay, can we
absolutely bring that up at the meeting?
We need 3 votes very quickly, Barry, before you go. So can we deal with these very quickly then? And
yeah,
I'm kind of going out of order here. I'm unfortunately, but these are the ones. So so the representative, I'm going to propose Brian. I would propose Brian be that member.
I would second that motion.
I would second as well, because I think Brian is the one that originally brought up the thought.
Can't we pick someone who's not at the meeting?
Would you really want one of not Tom? Tom would be fine. Okay.
Tom's dog.
Do you accept that nomination, Brian?
All right.
All right, so Jeremy's put it forth, however, he's the chair. So the deputy mayor has put forth the motion to appoint Brian Bell to represent the station on the green board at the Village Green Board of Management, and seconded by Per Hahn. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. The next one is reopening information provided by the Community Culture and Tourism Department.
Mr. Chair, you got to call the vote. Mr. Chair.
Yeah, all in favor first, sorry.
Oh, sorry. All in favor.
Perfect.
In favor.
Barry, you got us all on it, pins and needles here, because we're afraid you're going to leave before we vote.
No, I'll hang tight for as long as I can. I know the truck's going to be here soon, so go ahead. And I'm sorry to put pressure on. It's just
the reopening information. Now, I believe we've all had that, and I believe Debbie has not only received but reviewed and has recommendations as to what our opening plan would be, which leads us to reopening and safety plan number 3, and then obviously our final vote is to have the station open for activities and events. Okay, so there's kind of 3 things here to talk about. I don't know how many of you read that amount of information, but let me introduce you to, well, you all know Debbie, and I'm remiss in welcoming her to the meeting. So everything I'm doing here is a little backwards, but at this point, welcome Debbie. And this is, you've been a vital part, and you've shown how your interests have been able to ultimately manifest in some very good suggestions and actions. So can you just tell us, for instance, I know you're going to deal with the booking report, but can you also tell us, since booking report also requires the opening, what you have come out and what you would recommend?
Okay, first off, I sat with Amanda on Monday for an hour. We developed a safety plan for reopening, which I will mail all you when I get your emails. So I'm ready to open. I have all the safety protocol. We have everything we need. I also have, like gloves and the control list the tracer contact list, all of that. It's really simple. There's nothing complicated about it. And I have so many bookings, like I have 8 bookings, 8 tentative bookings, depending on when we open for August. I've turned down about 13 for July. I've booked into 2022. I even have 2 weddings for 2023 that are coming to see the hall and will probably book through us. I've had about 2 queries from Wedding Wire for 2022 and 2023. So once people know we're open, this is without being open. Once people know we're open, I expect there will be a lot more. I don't want to turn down these ones that we have for August. So I'm suggesting that we open.
Mr. Chair, if I have a question for Debbie, if I may.
Go ahead, Barry.
Yeah. So Debbie, you've met with Amanda. You know what the safety protocol is. Are you comfortable? As you said, it's pretty. Are you comfortable that we are able to maintain that safety, that safety regulations when we rent it out in our recap? Because we will be responsible, regardless of who rents the place. We will be responsible to ensure those safety regulations are followed. And so, are you comfortable that we are in a position to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's all I needed to hear.
Good. Good. Good question. And Per?
I was wondering whether when Barry and Brian have the meeting with Lesier, that it would be possible to ask for their work plan and perhaps accelerate and maybe begin their work as soon as practical in front of the door and the entrance to the station, as opposed to starting off on the other side of the project, so that we can become properly functional as quickly as possible.
Good point, Per, because the other thing is that there's no access right at the moment from the parking lot to the building.
Actually, there is. The Village on a Green put a gravel pathway down so that the BIA could open the bathrooms, so they can come through the front door, or they could go through the back door.
But ideally we'd have the access though through the parking lot to our building, right?
Right.
Yeah, which isn't open right at the moment.
But it would be a fairly easy thing for the Village Green to state that the work will commence at our entranceway. To why have 2 facilities down at the same time? Finish our section first.
Sure, I think that's a great suggestion. So that's to Barry and to Brian.
I think all it involves is unilock paving.
Yeah.
And they have the stone there.
So could we add that to the list then of the topics? Is Barry still here or is he gone?
There.
No, I'm here. I'm here.
Okay, Barry, could you, if you're going to be talking to Stuart prior, are you doing that meeting after?
Will I do that meeting? What? Sorry?
Are you going to have that meeting with Stuart prior to the board meeting with the mayor and Terry?
Well, yeah. So my plan is to get a meeting next week with Terry, Lesier, and the mayor if he wants to attend, and Brian was going to attend with me. So that's a preliminary meeting that I plan to have long before, immediately before the board has the meeting with them.
Okay, so no, I think the sequence, and Brian had talked about that, like was pretty thick. We need to meet as a as a board first, and then, you're at your will to meet Stuart whenever you like, of course, but
Right.
um, for Brian, I think he preferred to have a position in
Yeah,
which.
I would prefer the board meets with the mayor and Terry Vachon first, before we have any, I mean, Barry, you can go ahead and talk to Terry and the mayor and as a heads up to them about our concerns, but I think we need to have a board meeting with them first. And then as a follow-up, bring in Stuart Lazier after that.
Oh, okay. So, okay. I see your position. Because I'm going to book a meeting between me, Terry, and Lazier. And if the mayor wants to attend, you can. That's fine. But I want to talk to these two gentlemen and find out what the heck's going on in their heads. So, anyways, and like I said, if somebody wants to join us at that meeting, they're welcome to do that. But if not, then you can do it when we plan our meeting. And then I'll try to schedule. I'll ask them to schedule a time to meet with the committee as well. So, okay. I'm good.
Kayla.
Yeah, just in the interest of time and the fact that you're losing quorum, it's cutting in and out every once in a while. Just to bring it back to the agenda, you're in the reopening and safety plan creation. So I've prepared a possible resolution if you'd like to hear it.
Yes. Perfect.
Go for it.
Be it resolved that the Creemore Station on the Green Board hereby reopen the Station on the Green facility and appoint Debbie Hill to create reopening safety plan with Amanda Murray in conjunction with the health unit and provincial guidelines.
And I have done
I'll move that motion. I'll move that motion.
That she has done that.
I know, but we have to go through those motions to reopen the hall or the facility.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying that can the word be that they have been developed, the safety plans have been developed. Because we don't want this opening contingent on anything. We'd like it to open, right?
Yeah, but we've already met the conditions, so it's
kind of a moot point, but hereby open the Station on the Green facility with approved reopening safety plan in conjunction with the health and provincial guidelines.
Okay. Yes, good.
perfect.
Should there be a date there, reopening as of a certain date?
Yes, if you'd like. What date?
Today?
August 1st is good with me, but sooner if you want it.
August
I'm ready
1st
anytime.
What I would say too. Yes.
Okay, what date? Sorry.
August 1st, 2021.
Just one question.
If not sooner, yeah. Okay, quick, Anthony. Yeah.
I know I was cut off, but is there an issue with accessibility? Because we now have a gravel walkway.
There isn't an issue really.
You'll
You
just
can
have to
go
open
from
up the other doors for them?
I'm sorry?
You may have to just open up the other doors for people?
I can do that, or they can walk around the building from the parking lot and go in the front door and they don't even hit the gravel.
Okay, I'm just curious.
The
Okay.
gravel is more right from the pathway up to the washroom doors,
Yeah,
but in front of the doorway itself, there's still some brick and then it goes onto the pathway around the building.
All right.
Okay, good. Okay.
Sorry,
Anybody
that motion's been moved by Deputy Mayor Burton. Just waiting on a seconder.
Second.
Anthony. And then all in favor.
In favor.
All in favor.
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Well, that just gets it out of the way.
That being passed, I think we're back into the order of the rental report, and then that would be the last item unless there's any new business.
Yeah, you've got the board membership. So in the past, the board's been discussing adding more board members.
Yes, okay, so in the course of discussions, Debbie's been an integral part of the activity, much more than perhaps many of us have. And one of the notions here is that she should be actually not only part of the what we would call a service to the station, but as a role as a member of the board. She would be able to participate, keep us up to date, and vote accordingly.
So are you, just if I can ask, so you're asking Debbie to become a member of the board, our board?
Correct.
Is that correct?
Yes.
And do you want it specific to just Debbie, or do you want to open up for advertisement for more board members?
I thought we were always open for board members, but
Yeah. So I'm going to put forth a motion that we request council to appoint Debbie as a member of the Station on the Green Management Board. And then we pass it, and it has to go to council to approve it.
all right. Thank you, Barry. Anthony has a comment.
Yeah, I thought we already discussed this, that if she was a board member, she would have to declare pecuniary interest at each meeting.
Recuse herself. Well, not so much, but recuse herself at decision points.
So she couldn't really vote on anything.
Well, she can vote on she could vote on things like spending money. She couldn't vote on things that would involve increasing her pay or stuff like that, or you know, if we're going to increase her, pay her more, or pay her additional fees for doing something, she wouldn't be able to vote on that. But she'd be able to vote on other stuff, day-to-day stuff, you know. So.
Okay, I just thought there was a problem with that before we did.
No, just where Anthony, just where it would affect herself.
So every rental, really.
I'm sorry?
Every rental would affect.
No, I mean affect her remuneration. Anyway,
okay, I just thought it came up.
Other committees that pay, for example, there's other committees that pay, I shouldn't say this in front of Brian, that pay people to look after their books. They're members of the committee, and they pay them to do all their accounting for them. Sorry, Brian. There's other committees that do that.
Yes, they do. And
Not all.
They usually disclose a pecuniary or disqualifying interest when it comes time for payment. However, the Station on the Green Board's been really good at creating appropriate budgets, and usually that's considered right in the budget. So she wouldn't necessarily have a pecuniary interest there, but she will when it comes time to approve that budget.
Yeah.
And Sarah previously, the Echo did the bookings, and the Echo was paid for doing the bookings, and Sarah sat on the board. So she would simply recuse herself if those questions came up to be voted on. So I don't see a difference there between that and having Debbie on the board.
I don't either.
Pair.
All right.
I think Debbie is volunteering to serve.
My motion is on the floor.
Okay, we have a question to the motion.
No, actually, I know what the motion is going to be, and I'm seconding it.
Okay.
Good. All right, all in favor?
In favor.
Good. Pass, congratulations. Debbie, as long as you pass the very questioning by the council of Creemore, of Clearview.
Debbie, you will have to fill out an application. There is an application form.
I've already done it.
Yeah, we've received it.
Yeah, okay, good. Okay, good. Everybody's on ball. Good.
Good. Okay, so that's good. Thank you, Kayla, for bringing that item up. And having said that, can we ask Debbie, new member of the board, to read us the rental report? Or was that what you gave us earlier?
That's pretty much what I did earlier. I have a lot of tentative bookings for August. I've got bookings for September, for 2022. In April, we have a wedding. another one coming up in August of 2022, a couple of queries from Wedding Wire. And I even have questions into bookings in 2023.
Great. Okay, and that doesn't even include our regulars that are can be reached
No,
to now to say we're open for business, eh?
it doesn't.
Yeah, good.
Which we should inform.
I'm sorry?
We should inform our regulars that we will be opening on August 1st.
We need to do that, but I don't even know who our regulars are at this point.
All
I
right.
know the church and I know the daycare. That's it. So I have to get that information from Sarah. There's been a huge problem in getting the programs from the Echo to me. So I'm bluffing it in most cases.
Brian?
All right, I can probably assist Debbie on that because I can take it off the list that I know of who's been renting the station. But I'd also like to point out, when Debbie says that there's a lot of tentative bookings coming up, the station is rented and used 7 days a week. And if you look at our monthly schedule, you'll see groups in there Monday to Friday, 1 or 2 groups a day, and then on the weekends. I don't think Village on the park itself is going to be holding events 7 days a week, maybe weekends. But the station is up and running literally 7 days a week and has been since I've been on the board. And from what Debbie is saying, it sounds like there's some pent up demand now to use the station. So, and we should be notifying our previous renters as well that they can come back in now if they wish to. Just a point to make.
Good point. And we could get something formal out perhaps to, as a, a bit of enticement. We can maybe, Debbie, you might want to construct a letter to these once we learn what the list is. And what would be really interesting when you do these reports is if you could quantify perhaps what the meetings, in terms of dollar value and so on might be. And if you could just give us an idea generally of what the opportunity consists of.
Sure.
That'd be great. And this is a question that was asked of me, and I'm not sure what the protocol is, quite frankly. But if a group, let's say by name is the Bangorm Highlanders, wanted to practice out in the parking lot of the station on the green, does that require anything? I don't believe that's a rental.
Jeremy, I think that's a pecuniary interest.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
As far as I'm concerned, it's just an open space you can go to.
You think it's open space?
Love to hear some bagpipe music.
A free concert for the town? No, I'm just kidding. But I didn't know what that
we do rent it out to the farmers market, so I'm not sure what we do.
Yeah,
we used to.
Yeah.
I'm discovering all kinds of things. I discovered through Wedding Wire, the 2 inquiries I've got that I never knew before. We actually have a wedding package, and we have apparently a price for outdoor use for whatever, but I would say the Bangorn Highlanders would be, just use it as public space.
Because it's a not-for-profit. That's why I
That's right.
Non-pecuniary.
Who would pay for that?
See, Per lives next door to one of the pipers who encourages other pipers to go there, so he gets a plethora of pipe music, like it or not, unfortunately.
It could be kind of a plus for the green too, or for the station too, because if you know, there's bagpipe music out there, there's going to be people out there and they're going to see the station and, oh, wow, you know, like people who maybe normally wouldn't have ever thought of it.
Bring life back to the station.
Okay, so Kayla has a question here. What is, okay, Brian?
Sorry, I'm just, again, in the interest of time and the fact that Barry keeps cutting in and out, kind of getting into the weeds with this one, we could maybe suggest having a rental rate sheet or report provided as she learns the role more completely and who's involved and what areas are used and what past rentals have been. And then I said, additionally, we bypass the financial report.
Okay, so Kayla, with that, I'm sorry, say that, like, what are you looking for in that?
I'm looking not to be rude. It comes across kind of rude. Looking to move on. I feel like you're kind of getting into the weeds. Perhaps once Debbie learns more the role
Okay,
and the user groups, she can provide a rental rate. I know you guys are hoping to discuss that come December.
yeah, all right.
And then additionally, you bypass financial.
Kayla, I just wanted to bring up that item. That was the purpose of and to see what the criteria might be, because I've been asked to do it and I need to answer to the group. So I'm assuming that the answer was okay, if I'm not mistaken, to use the parking lot. Is that correct?
Anthony suggested that the farmers market pays a fee, so there could potentially be a fee incurred, and then other people have suggested that it's outdoor space. So no, nothing's been.
Kayla, maybe I can solve this issue real quick. I'll put forth a motion that the Highlanders are allowed to use the parking area for rehearsal at no cost. There's the motion. My signal's fading in and out. You're going to lose me any second. So,
All right, I'll second it.
Can you recite that then, Kayla?
Be it resolved that the station on the green board hereby approve to waive any fees, or I guess allow the dancing group to use the parking lot free of charge.
Thank you.
Dancing group?
Dancing group.
So
Oh, sorry, is it bagpipes? Is that, sorry, I can't spell quorum, whatever. It's very Scottish.
and Gorham.
What's the word?
BGH. So would anybody prepare to?
You got it.
I second it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's done. Thank you. I won't vote on it. Anybody else voting? Clear?
All in favor?
I'm in favor.
All in favor.
I didn't vote, Per.
Yes, I will make a note that there's a disqualifying interest in item 7 as it relates to the.
All right.
Motion.
So, the financial report. I'm sorry, Brian. Go ahead, please.
I have not received June's bank statement as of yet, and Kayla, you could maybe remind them to make sure they send it to me. And so I can only give you the amount we had as of May 31st, $6,712.45. As of July the 15th, in my bookkeeping, we have $6,120.43 in the bank. However, that amount will be higher because it does not include the EPCOR credit that we get each month. I haven't seen it yet for June or July. And as such, it's ranges between $1,200 and $1,400 a month. So we make quite a bit of money off the electrical panels, the solar panels. And our hydro last bill was $140. and we brought in a 1,400. So that's what's been carrying us along. But yeah, we're holding our own and we're doing well. And if we're reopening in August and we get these rentals coming in, things are looking up.
Okay, folks, I got a truck coming down my driveway, so you've got about 20 seconds to if you want to vote for me, I got to go. I got this truck coming down my driveway right now.
Up in the meeting.
On this, do we have a motion to accept that financial report? Kayla, do we need to?
Yeah, you don't need one. You haven't in the past. Like I said, you guys have been really good with keeping to your budgets. So
Okay.
You're okay with that.
Good, thank you. Okay, so building and landscape, Anthony, any other comments?
No, I think we need to make a move to end the meeting before Barry disappears.
What, to close the meeting?
You don't need a seconder on that. You do need to vote.
My apologies, folks. Gotta go. So my vote is in favor of adjourning the meeting. Gotta go. Sorry about that. Okay, thanks, guys.
Thanks, Barry.
Okay, so nonetheless, Anthony, is there any comments? I don't think this requires a motion, but for interest,
Not right now. No.
good. So next meeting, August 18th. With that, let's move to conclude the meeting. Adjourned.
Your leadership, Jeremy.